So tell us the plot briefly.
So this is a kind of cross of Top Gun and The Right Stuff. It's about test pilots. But what was really striking, and to me quite worrying about this film, is it's basically set in the present day, and it's very closely mapping real-world events in the South China Sea, where you see American warships and warplanes flying in innocent passage in international skies and international waters to just show the flag, and that is legally allowed. But in the film, that's twisted, and it begins and ends with, we don't get told they're Americans, but these pilots fly very modern planes and they have American accents.
Well done.
And they are going right into Chinese airspace and flying kind of solo over a Chinese gas rig that they smash all the windows, sailors are falling in the sea. And then when the Chinese Air Force says you're in Chinese airspace, these arrogant American accented pilots say,
we can come and go whenever we want.
And then the problem at the beginning of the film is the Chinese planes aren't good enough to keep up. And so the middle of the film is this very austere test pilot base in the desert, in the Chinese desert, where they're trying to design a new plane that can drive the arrogant foreign intruders out. And the film ends with the Americans, we assume, being driven out of Chinese airspace by these kind of super modern Chinese jets.
To me, one of the most interesting moments that you have talked about is the parents of the kid, of the young wannabe pilot, try to dissuade him and try to steer him onto a kind of more bourgeois, conventional path. And that is seen as the old, modernizing, reform-minded China. And that is actually the kid delivers a stern rebuke to his parents, right? That's a metaphor for the old China of Hu Jintao and then...
Absolutely. So, you know, one of the criticisms, I've heard American generals say, you know, maybe the Chinese won't start a war because all these one-child families, what sort of urban middle-class parents would want to risk their only child in a war? The movie kind of tackles that head-on, but from the point of view of the hyper-patriotic youngster, and you're right, that there's this amazing scene, he has a nasty crash, he nearly dies. His parents turn up in the desert and say, you know, what are you doing? We found a nice, safe job for you in a nice company, and you refused our offer to send you abroad to study. And he's like, no, you know, my generation will give China its confidence back, and I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to be an unfilial son. And he kind of sends them packing. And there's a phrase in Chinese propaganda where they talk about main melody films, the kind of the Ju Shuan Lu. And the main melody of the time is kind of the main political message that the party leaders want everyone to sort of hum along to. And right now you can see Xi Jinping in speech after speech, particularly aimed at the young, is that they're soft, they're pampered, they need to be willing to sacrifice and suffer like their sort of ancestors did at the beginning of communist China. And that's then added on to this push for technological self-reliance, to push back the foreign Americans who are trying to hold China down. So all of these themes coming together.
And how does it end? It's a glorious victory against the, as you say, the American accented, English-speaking, unnamed adversary.
Literally that. So you have a dogfight where suddenly you hear these panicking American accents going, you know, oh, their planes are really good. And they're kind of sent packing. They do, you know, crumb of comfort. They shoot down an American drone, not an American fighter. So we don't actually see an American killed on screen. But it's definitely a chilly movie. And I've spoken to young Chinese, particularly foreign educated ones, who are really shocked by the kind of the next level of normalizing combat, rather than maybe like a historical movie where you're killing Americans in Korea in the 1950s. This is new. This is present day normalizing combat with America. And if we see another of these films, then I think we should start to worry.